The Sharks pull out a victory in Buffalo. Wait, what? Shocking, right? We'll talk about the victory and more right now on Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday night, January 6, 2022. The San Jose Sharks are victorious. Yes, they are victorious with a score of 3-2. Wasn't easy, but when is it in Buffalo? Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game, so if you want to chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page of the app, come on in. Let's talk about it. Also, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, of course, Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. And with that, good evening, Mr. Ian Reid.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I mean, we were definitely, I don't know, this looked like it could be a recipe for disaster for the game tonight. Buffalo, no Erik Karlsson, no Jake Middleton. Oh my goodness. One of those set up for disaster nights.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think I said this all year. I think Jake Middleton and Erik Karlsson's been the Sharks' best D pair. So you take that out of the equation. Adin Hill gets the start. That's been an adventure this year. And I think it was, he had a good game. I don't want to take too much away from him, but that was an adventure near the end.
Oh, boy, howdy.
Definitely get there. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of big recipe for disaster tonight for sure. And I don't think, they won tonight, but I don't.
It's not one of those feel-good wins.
Right, yeah. I don't feel amazing after this win. It doesn't load me up with confidence. I think there's certain things that I do think are trending back in the right direction, but I'm not running laps around the block cheering about this win either.
Yeah, no, it's not one that you're going to remember the first time they won in Buffalo, which happened to be Joe Thornton's debut. We'll talk about Jimbo a little later on the show, but I mean, you're just asking for it. But 2.5 minutes in, this seems like it's becoming a thing now. Ian, that we have a little bit of a scrap with this time it's Gadjevich and Hayden. I almost thought it was more like a wrestling match more than anything after that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's I think you're gonna see this a lot because as guys get healthy and come back into the lineup, there's not going to be room for all these guys. So guys like Jeffrey Viel and Gadjevich, the guys like that there's really probably only one of them in the lineup at any given time. You probably don't need all of them. And I think obviously when guys get healthy, those guys are basically fighting over who's going to be that guy going forward. And I thought that, Jeffrey Viel, once he got healthy, he would probably take over that spot, but that hasn't happened. Gadjevich has kind of held it down. So we'll see what Bugner decides going forward. But I think we're going to see a lot of that until guys get healthy and, some of those, there's only room for one of those guys. And I think those guys are fighting to stay in the NHL and not get sent back down to the A.
And that's where they're, the likes of not just, Viel, but Gregor, who has hit a snag a little bit here.
Yeah, but that's not Gregor's game. If Gregor starts throwing knuckles, I mean, something's gone seriously off the rails.
No. Yeah, what I'm saying is that they're trying to prove themselves to stay up with the major league squad as opposed to head down to the AHL.
Yep, no, for sure.
So, the Sharks scoring would happen in a matter of less than 5 minutes of the first period. Start off with Matt Nieto from Cogs and Bones, around the 12:30 mark to make it 1-0. Nieto, 3 goals on the season. What did you think of Matty's tally?
It's a nice feed by Cogliano. I mean, Cogliano makes that happen. It was a really nice feed to Nieto. Nieto didn't make any mistakes. It was interesting watching the hell's his name?
Help me out here.
Luukkonen, right? Like Pekka Luukkonen or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, something crazy. Something with a lot of vowels and consonants.
Yes. We're not on Wheel of Fortune, man.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's it's something that I've really been critical of Hill a lot this year for not being aggressive enough. But I kind of liked his positioning on those shots, but I just the reaction time just wasn't fantastic for him. So I mean, it's like, so it's one thing to challenge shooter. I thought I really liked his aggressiveness for some of the saves he made in the game, because he's a big guy too.
Yeah, 6'5", 217.
But you got to, it's the NHL. You have to have the whole package. You got to be able to play the angles and then have the reflexes to make the saves. But yeah, a really nice shot by Nieto. Better feed by Cogliano.
Yeah, no, totally. Cogs looked like he wanted to lead by example, and he gets the assist on that first goal to make it 1-0 against Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yes, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
I'm going to make Kevin Lacey proud for that one. All right, and then just a minute 17 later, Timo Meier with a nice rush by Mario Ferraro, and of course, welcome back, Mario. Hope you're recovering from COVID well. Gets it up to Hurdle, and then nice assist by the linesman to leave it for Meier to put it off the post and in to make it 2-0.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, nice to see Ferraro get back into the lineup. I thought he played well. I thought he had played with a lot of energy tonight. I thought he had definitely a jump in his game. Like he was winning races. I was impressed with how quick, considering the layoff, like how quick he was still getting around the ice.
Yeah, and looking pretty good, looking really solid. Nice skating ability to get that rush going to make it 2-0. And then a few minutes later, Tomas Hurdle, again, another odd man rush here for his 17th.
Yeah, Sharks the Sharks played a really good first period. I mean, there's a lot to like about it. I think something that happened in the last few games was I thought the Sharks really went off their game plan. And they weren't all the structure, all the good things from early in the season were completely absent from the last few games. And I think they got away from what was giving them success. And there's no surprise that some of these, came off turnovers that turned into odd man rushes.
Yeah,
because it started in the Sharks' end, and they completely got away from that. And I think they started to get away from that a little bit as the game went on as well. And they got a little lazy at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But I really liked the first period because I liked that the Sharks kind of got back to what was making them successful.
Yeah, I thought they looked really good, really defensive minded, but also had that offensive push to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even Bob Mooner in the post-game chatter was saying, we played one of our better first periods in a long time. Fatigue set in during the third, and we were missing some key guys. Nice to see Hill stand tall. I mean, that's the tough part is that they look like they got off to a nice start, which is nice as opposed to what's been going on in the last few games. But yeah, I mean, it's a good start, but they need a full 60 overall.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I think it's so hard to figure out what to make of this team, right? Because this team looked like the structure at least looked to be back.
Mm-hmm.
This game, which completely was absent in the most, I think, other than maybe the Philly game, it was completely absent. And the Sharks aren't the only team that's ever got a lead and then sat on it. Teams do this all the time. It's score effects. But, I mean, the first period, though, I liked the first period. I thought the Sharks played a good first period. I thought, good road first period. I thought they were physical. I thought that they got back to their game. And I think when they play their game, they're going to have chances to be successful because it's an easy game. The problem that they ran into, and the problem they started getting into later on in the game, was just trying to get too fancy to leave the zone, right? Like this team isn't talented enough to always just carry the puck from their end to the other end and look for the scoring chance. Like sometimes you got to dump and chase. And I find like the thing that gets the Sharks in a lot of trouble, and it really got them in a lot of trouble last game, was just how many times, they made like three unnecessary passes to try and exit their own zone, and then they turn over the puck, and then it goes the other way.
And just like you said, just kind of struggling just to get anything out or getting anything going.
Yeah.
Just to.
Well, I think if you're looking to not to make like if you're looking to make the complex, the glory when I'm going to skate it from one end to the other like on Bobby Orr every play, then yeah, you're going to run into trouble. Like this team isn't talented enough to always just carry it out of the zone and try and force possession. And it's like sometimes you're going to have to dump and chase, and the Sharks get in trouble because again, like, and you saw this and this especially in the third, it's like it's not the easy first pass out. It's not that, it's try to pass it 2 feet to another guy who's going to try and pass it a foot to another guy instead of just trying to get it out of the zone and, forcing Buffalo to tag up. It's frustrating to watch.
Yeah. Not good.
Not good.
Second period, you get, noted Calder winner Jeff frickin' Skinner score. It's his 11th. Of course, he takes a penalty later on. Burnsy looked a little gingerly after that, but he stayed in. And then, of course, Vlasic would get a puck over the glass call. But, second period, I mean...
The thing that really annoyed me with the Jeff Skinner goal was how one player pinned two Sharks on the board. Like, how does that
right? There looked like a little bit of a hold there when I was looking at the GIF making that.
It just shouldn't happen. Like even there's two guys.
You're right.
Someone needs to get free. Like it's painful. It was just painful to watch. And then I don't know how that happens. And then yeah, Jeff Skinner shoots and scores. And I think up to that point, like I think I want to say this because it needs to be said. Like Adin Hill had a pretty good game tonight.
Yeah,
I didn't really fault him on this one. Like Skinner's wide open after two Sharks get pinned on. Like, why two Sharks are in the same place on that play to begin with to get pinned on the boards? Like, that's an issue, right? Obviously, like nothing happened on the Sharks power play except for Brent Burns almost again, just like trying to keep the shorthanded goals against streak going. Like,
no, yeah,
brutal.
They are. I know the holiday season was just upon us, but they're, excuse me, they're still trying to give a lot to everybody. I mean, my God.
Yeah, and it's not you're like you would expect that. You've got a bunch of guys that are playing with limited NHL experience in the lineup tonight. You'd expect that from them, but
not Brent Burns.
Right. Well, I mean, you would expect it from Brent Burns because it's Brent Burns. And
that's true.
Been his move. But I mean, but that's the frustrating thing, right? Like a lot of these big gaffes are your money guys.
Right.
They're the guys that should not be making this many mistakes. Like, sure, I'm not expecting Brent Burns to be the perfect, defenseman all the time, but he can't make this many gaffes in this many games. Like it's frustrating to watch. And then, like it's nice that the accountability hammer comes down on everyone but him.
It's your best players need to be your best players. I think if you listen to Morning Tide, Ted Rabin is preaching that like crazy. And these guys, Vlasic with that puck over glass penalty, Burns with the turnovers, I think ever since the holiday break. Come on, guys. We got to be better. Hell, the frickin' Carlson watching, the puck go in for I think it was a tying goal against Arizona. I mean, come on, guys. I know it's like the dog days and everything, but we got to be better than that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like,
So.
I think, I mean, there's a bunch of things wrong on that goal. Like Erik Karlsson probably could could get in there, although it's not his guy. Like, but I mean,
True.
Reimer needs to have that rebound too.
Yeah. No,
Like,
definitely.
there's a lot to like, and I'm not gonna sit here and try and defend Erik Karlsson. I don't think he needs to be defended at this point. Honestly, I think he's been fine this year. I know. Like, before the chats kind of died on us here, but like
Yeah, I
before
don't
we
know what's
got on,
happening
everyone's like, "Oh, Erik Karlsson's out, we win." It's like, have you watched the Sharks this year? Like I understand like he's a polarizing figure, but I mean, it's funny how when everything's fine, it's fine, but then when everything goes wrong, well, it's probably Erik Karlsson's fault. Like, come on, watch the game.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with our chat. If we're having difficulty, we apologize for it. Just seeing if it pops up here, but let's
I
see.
don't. It just
Go.
seems like it's been quiet. I don't know if
Yeah,
we're
I
just
mean,
not
I
getting any
apologize
chat
for the
here.
delay. There was a, as you guys know, I am not 100%. We'll leave it at that. But moving onward. Third period. This is why. You know, Yeah, okay. Yeah, we really do that. Sure. Um third period now. San Jose gets outshot and I can't believe when I looked at this stat. 22-5.
I didn't think it was that bad.
When you told me about how many saves Hill had made, um I was like, "Really? He made that many?
Yeah,
37, 39? What in the world? Seriously?" And all of a sudden, they're just throwing too much at Hill, and the other part too, for that matter. The Sharks got tired. They got tired in the third period. I don't think it was just that they thought they had the game in. I think they ran out of gas, and that's
I
concerning.
think the Sabres are there to play too, right? Like, it's not like, Sabres, like, it's not like they're just gonna roll over and die. Like, I mean, you would like them to. You'd like to score 3 goals, but I mean, that's doesn't happen very often. Like, teams have pride. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Moving on, they would outshoot 22-5. Gergensons would get a power play goal late in the excuse me, after the Sharks would kind of get into some penalty trouble. Kind of lazy penalty. Cox
Yeah, it
would
was
take a cross
that was
check.
definitely, like, I think Magna got away with one earlier in that period,
Yeah.
and it was a penalty for sure. Like, you're gonna get called for that every time. I didn't like the goal. I mean, because here's the problem, right? It's like, yeah, what's Hill gonna do? But I mean, the first shot beat him clean. It just happened to hit the post. I mean, that could have went in the net.
Right. I thought it did at
Um,
first, to be
so
honest.
did I. Yeah, I thought it was in, and then, but I mean, so I didn't like how cleanly Hill got beat on that shot, even though it did hit the post, and then obviously it goes behind him, and he has no idea where it is, and and then the Sabres score and make it interesting because, again, like we said, like, they had pressured the entire third period. The Sharks, again, like, I think the Sabres did a good job, but I think also the Sharks started trying to be too complicated again, right? Like, just not making the easy play to get it out of the zone.
Not the simple Pele. They maybe had a little bit of panic, a little bit there
Yeah,
to just.
and credit to Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo played or had a really strong forecheck in that third period.
Hmm. And they got one, but that was all they would get. And unfortunately, the Sharks or for them, the Sharks would get a victory. So that's good for the Sharks, unless you're part of Team Tank. So 3-2, the final there. Let's go through some of the locker room
I think
comments.
even if your team tank, though, I mean, this game probably doesn't bother you because this is Buffalo. This team,
True.
this is a team that's totally in team tank mode. Like, them and the Coyotes are at a race to the bottom.
We're gonna party like it's 2015 all over again. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, like, you I think if you're a team tank, you're probably still feeling pretty good because the effort that the Sharks gave in the last two periods would get them destroyed by better teams. I think and again, I want to give Adin Hill all the credit in the world. He had a good game tonight. Obviously made a crap ton of saves, a 37 save effort on 39 shots. It's nothing to sneeze at, right?
No, and I feel like I need to sneeze anytime now. But the thing is that with the 37 points, and granted, there's two teams technically ahead of them. They are now just 1 point out of that wild card spot where Edmonton is at. With Edmonton having a game in hand, I mean, yay. But this is kind of where I thought we were going to be, and it is just in the middle of the pack where something could give, and so just
yeah. I mean, I don't think this, like, it's yay for a win, but I don't think you should feel a little warm and fuzzy from it.
No warm fuzzies. That's okay. We'll get through we'll get through it and get ready for the epic matchup that is going to come Saturday, when the Sharks take on potentially Martin Jones and the Philadelphia Flyers in Pennsylvania. So
I think there's a good chance of that, because I think Carter Hart's getting shelled tonight.
Oh boy, that should be a good one then. Let's take a look at some of the comments coming from the locker room. He's like a nut. He got shelled. Adin Hill, we blocked a lot of shots, but the second and third, we definitely want to play in the other ends of the ice a bit more. Thank you, Captain Obvious. From Bob Bugner, the Nieto goal was big for us, allowed us to play with a lead, and that's a good sign. Yes, and also 25% off at sharksproshop.com. # no free ads. This is huge for Hill's confidence. We had a talk this morning about good games from earlier in the year. Need some swagger in the net, and he had it tonight. What are you laughing at?
The chat. Ruben Bustin telling me I'm telling people how to fan.
Oh boy, I never thought.
I'm just saying I wouldn't feel warm and fuzzy. If you want to feel warm and fuzzy after this win, you're within your rights to. I just wouldn't.
Hey, if you want to feel like SJ Sharkey, by all means go for it. I mean, come on. Warm and fuzzy. I mean, he's the furriest fish I've ever seen for damn sure. Nieto on Cogs and Bones. We're three guys that work as hard as we can every single night. We're comfortable with any matchup. We can create more offensively. What do you think of that line? I mean, I know the Sharks Twitter had him on the second line. I saw others had him on the third line. But I think they kind of gel a little bit.
I think it's fine. I mean, the Sharks right now, given the missing bodies and stuff, like, you just need to find you kind of throwing together whatever you can and see it works. I think they were fine. Like, again, like they got some points. Yep. They got on the board. That's important.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, like, they got on the board. So I think they played fine. I think it's a fine combination. It's good I think it's a decent combination for what the Sharks have to throw out there in that type of role. I mean, the fourth line's a tire fire. So, I mean, compared to that, everything looks good, I think.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and I get the need that you want to try to separate, Bonino and Cogliano to help out that fourth line, but you have three lines that are working pretty well. Fourth line is finding their way here and there. I think it'll be okay.
I just think the problem with the fourth line is they're just it's a product of what the Sharks have available, and it's a product of the coach. And like I said, once guys start getting healthy and coming back into the lineup, then they're going to, some of those guys aren't going to be on the team anymore.
True. When you get your Balsers back,
Weatherby's the whole fourth. I like Weatherby. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think, I don't. You look at Gadjevich and Jeffrey Vial and Adam Raska, they're all the same player.
Pretty much.
Raska's got a little more jump. But at the end of the day, like, they're all the annoying sandpaper guys. You don't need you don't need multiple of those guys, especially multiple of those guys that are tweeners at best.
So let me ask you this, and I'll expand on what Logan Teal 86 is saying. Why is Nick Merkley not playing? I would say that also the same thing is John Leonard. We heard such big things about John Leonard. I mean, granted, that's not really his role to be on the fourth
Yeah,
line,
because
but
it's Bob Bugner. It's Bob Bugner. Bob Bugner likes knuckle dragging hockey. And I mean that
shocking.
explains it, right? So right, I mean, I would like to see guys like John Leonard get a shot, and but it's hard because I think they've got a lot of guys that are kind of in the same spot. So you bring John Leonard up, but John Leonard's not going to play on the fourth line. So who are you taking out? You taking Gregor out? I mean, maybe at this point, I don't know if I would hate that.
I wonder.
Right?
I wonder if you separate, have Gregor rest, maybe put Helga Watts back in, see if it sparks something.
Yeah, I don't know. I
It's
mean,
tough.
it is tough, right? Because I think like there's guys that I feel like they're on their like I think John Leonard. I'm not too worried about John Leonard yet,
Okay.
but a guy like Helga Watts, I mean, he's been around for a while. Like it's sugar get off the pot time for some of these guys, right?
Sure.
But I'd like to see, so I can understand why they've kind of brought some of those guys up. But there's other guys that I'd like to see get a shot. The problem is they're not going to get put on a line where they're going to be best accentuated, or they're going to be in a spot to succeed. Like if you're going to bring a guy up and then be like, okay, well you're going to play with Weatherby and Gadjevich. Well, what the hell's that?
Right. No, you make a good point there. Definitely. Continue on here from Bob Bugner. Shimmick made an impact tonight, and his time on ice reflects that good physical game.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, Shimmick. I'm over Shimmick. I think
I think a lot of
here's
people
the
are.
problem with Shimmick, right? It's not these. I don't think he's bad. Like I think he's been better of late. Like he's definitely been a more physical presence. You've definitely noticed him again, in good ways. But I feel like I don't know. I mean, Jacob Middleton does it better for a quarter of the price, half the price.
You're bringing up a good point there. I mean,
Right? Like I think I think Shimmick was fine tonight. Like I don't think he was particularly bad. And yeah, he's a guy who's going to bring a physical game, and you're going to he's definitely a guy who's, if you go on his side, you're going to know you're going on his side. Like he's going to make sure you realize that, yeah, you might want to, go on Plastic's side because he ain't going to hit you and he probably won't even stop you. But I'm going to hurt
classic
you if you come on my
hit. How dare you? How dare you?
right. So I mean, like I've been like I think Shimmick's game's been better, but I'm not like suddenly back like, oh, Shimmick's awesome again. Like he's a guy. He's a guy who makes a lot of money for what he does.
Yeah. No, totally. Moving onward. Well, I wanted to touch on the time on ice because that's been very hit or miss with the defense core. Merkley played 13:46 with a +1 and blocked one shot. I mean, what did you think of Merkley's return to?
I think Merkley's been good when he's been up,
especially in his zone.
Yeah, like I think he's done everything he's been asked of, and it's unfortunate because the second that things get back to normal, he's back down to the CUDA, and I don't. Again, like there's a guy who I think I would probably start dressing more regularly. At least let him play himself out of a spot. But every opportunity he's been given so far, I think he's looked fine.
No, I don't think he's.
I think he's done everything he's been asked to do.
Yeah, I think he's been hung out on the ice a little bit sometimes, especially this first stint up in San Jose with the Sharks. But I really thought he's really kind of done all right.
I think he's done. Like I said, he is a guy that I would like to see the Sharks let him play himself out of a spot. And if he doesn't play himself out of a spot, fantastic. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's only, first round draft pick.
No pressure, right? Ferraro was at 24:32 in his return. Burns, quote unquote, kind of low at 26.5 minutes. I mean, not as bad as we've seen in the past, but Vlasic and Šimić getting over 18 minutes on the night. Magna over 16, which not too bad. I thought
I think, look at Vlasic's
it could be
a
worse.
tire fire, but I
Yeah.
think he has been a little bit better. Like this, and a little bit better is not nearly good enough considering the money he makes. But I mean, he had a couple blocks tonight. I didn't think he was. I didn't really see him do anything that really stood out to me. Like, oh my God, Vlasic, what are you doing tonight? Right? Like, I thought he played a pretty quiet game, just not quiet good.
You're not wrong. Bugner continue on with, I thought Hurdle showed up amazing leadership tonight. Smart changes, blocking shots, pumping guys up on bench. He's very engaged and stepped up in Logan's absence.
Yeah, I'm and I think Hurdle's been good. I mean, Hurdle's done everything. Again, he's another guy who I feel like he's done everything he's been asked to do. He's got 17 goals on the season. I think that he has been, he's definitely driven play on his line, regardless of who he's been given to work with. Like I think that his line has performed well for the most part. Maybe they're not always getting on the board as much as we'd like them to. It seems like it's either Couture's line or Hurdle's line going, and they don't seem to get going at the same time, and that's problematic. But I mean, Hurdle's great, man. Hurdle is gonna give us a hell of a return at the trade deadline.
Oh, oh, man. Yeah, that's a tough one. Oh, God. Yeah, that's gonna be a tough show to do when we have to break that news.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
And it better be a damn good return. There better be at least one first in there. Okay. So let's go around the scores around the NHL right now. After 2 periods in Dallas, it's 4-4 between the Stars and the Panthers. This is Joe Thornton's 1700th NHL game. Andrei Barkov has a pair of goals. Thank you from my fantasy team for that one. Some guy named some Pavelski guy has an assist. I don't know. So they're tied 4-4 after 2 in Dallas. Colorado up 2-1 on the Winnipeg Jets. And some interesting news. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, Ian, about the Jets are exploring playing in Saskatoon for the near future.
Yeah, I did see that. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, look at there's this global pandemic thing happening, and up here, they have kind of limited gatherings and stuff to try and slow the spread. So the NHL has been kind of periodically postponing games, like home games. I don't know how long they can keep doing that. But I think look at the NHL, for as much money as it gets from TV, is still, for the most part, a gate-driven league. So I think if you can move to Saskatchewan where they don't have many restrictions, and you can, I think they can fit 15.
I think it was something like 15 like that at the Credit Union Center, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, so if you can fit a decent number of people into the barn and get that gate, I mean, good on you. It's really, the NHL's in a tough spot, right? Because obviously they don't want to lose those gates, especially the ones up north, because like
those are big ones.
Well, they're huge, right? Like, I'm going to be obnoxious Canadian guy for a second, but for the teams that make up, a tiny percentage of the league, they disproportionately make up, they make up a disproportionate amount of the league's revenue. So obviously the players probably can't be happy right now because this is only going to continuously add to the escrow issues that they're going to have going forward.
Right.
And, so eventually, I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long these restrictions are going to be down, but I don't think the NHL thinks they're going to bully the Ontario government into opening up sooner to give us Leaf games, I think they're going to be sadly mistaken, because that's just not going to happen.
And
Like, if they're not going to do it just because the NHL says, well, we'll take away your Leaf games. Okay, fine, whatever. Like, most people watch those games on TV anyway.
right.
You tried getting Leaf tickets?
I wish. I mean, the thing is yeah, it's huge gate driven revenue, especially up in Canada for the 7 Canadian teams, and I don't blame them. And apparently, Saskatchewan doesn't have any
Yeah, because like
restrictions.
6 people live in Saskatchewan.
Oh my god! Well, apologies to all the Saskatchewan residents and such from the Ontario boy over there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, the good Ontario boy, right? There you go.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, I they have to do their due diligence. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. I completely get it. And I'm curious to see what else. It's weird. It's different, right? Because like obviously when the season started, I don't think anyone. I'm sure some people foresaw this coming, but I think a lot of people thought that we would be coming out the other side of this thing right now, instead of, just completely getting continuously buried by it. So I like, it wasn't like previous year where the Blue Jays played and they just started playing in the States and they stayed there the whole time. The Raptors did the same thing, right?
Right. Raptors were in Tampa with the Blue Jays. They transformed their minor league stadium into a pretty nice ballpark in Buffalo.
Right. So I don't know, like, to do that in the middle of the season though. Like, I don't know how you logistically make that work. To find a place, like, if you're gonna like say, okay, well, we're just gonna play all our games in the States until Ontario lets us have gates. Like, where do you go to make that work, right? And then obviously the players are not gonna like that, because obviously then they're never home.
Right.
Like, it's a weird. It's when you have like when you know this is what's gonna happen going into the season, you can make arrangements with your family to be wherever your new home is. Like in this situation now where sorry, Marty made me laugh. Where you have a situation like right now where this is kind of just sprung upon you, there's no easy solution to that, right? And I don't know what the NHL does. Like, I guess they can keep postponing games, but at this rate, if they keep postponing games, we're gonna have the Stanley Cup final in like July 30th.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you've read or listened to 32 Thoughts, that the great podcast from Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick, they're already running out of time. I mean, it's getting to the point where if it's the third weekend in January, they're going to have to play some games without fans in there.
Fans, and just bite the bullet, and it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and it's a tough to see. I mean, now granted, marketing wise, this is a way to get Saskatchewan in and keep them away from Alberta. I mean, what a way to get them out there for to see the NHL team, which of course, if for some historians, if you don't know, I mean, they were on the verge of getting the St. Louis Blues back in the early 80s. So
yeah, but the league has changed so much.
Oh,
like,
big time.
The league, like, here's the thing with the league now though, right? Like, the league is so big now, like, it's outgrown certain markets, right? Like, everyone's like, I think a franchise that everyone always like, oh, they should put a team back in Hartford, but the NHL's totally outgrown Hartford, Connecticut. Like, I don't think Hartford could support an NHL team right now. I think Winnipeg barely they support it, but I mean, like, they're on the knife's edge. Like, if things went super south and people stopped showing up in Winnipeg, they would be in trouble really quick.
Yeah, big time. And
but,
it's scary.
But they're lucky because people do support that team. But I just use them as an example, right? Like, there's certain markets where I think that the NHL is outgrown, and if you don't have, whereas if you lose like fan support and then the corporate support kind of follows, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
No, Quebec has worse. AJ asking what the Jets can't move Quebec. No, Quebec probably has worse. Probably has. I haven't really paid attention, but I'm sure they have pretty similar.
They're probably
restrictions.
Yeah, they're probably even worse restrictions. In fact, Montreal played a couple of games without fans in the stands.
Yeah, I've completely unplugged from the world, so I don't know.
Understandable. Be safe out there, everyone. You don't end up like me. Continuing on here really quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on the tangent, but I remember seeing that during the game. 3-1 now for the Avalanche up on the Jets. The Desert Dogs are up 3-2 on the Blackhawks in this one. And Golden Knights and Rangers are just about to get underway, and along with the Predators and Kings down in LA at some weird crypto.com arena. I never heard of it before. Anyway, just kidding, folks. So now here's a big one. We're getting ready. Ian's going to be on this Saturday, folks, along with myself and Felix for the Sharks and the Flyers. My God, Flyers, please start Martin Jones in net.
I think they will. I mean, Carter Hart just got lit up by Pittsburgh tonight, so there's a good chance I think we see Martin Jones.
Oh yeah, I didn't see the final scores here. Let me keep going.
It was 6-2, I think, that game.
Yeah. Where are we here? Yeah, 6-2 the final there. Brian Rust and Evan Rodriguez again, just going nuts, along with Jake Gensel as well.
And they're about to get Evgeny Malkin back.
Oh boy!
Yikes!
Yeah. Devils beat the Blue Jackets 3-1. Lightning quadruple up on the Flames 4-1. Braden Point, thank you very much. And the Wild beat the Bruins 3-2. Kaprizov with the goal and Kakinen with the victory. Granted, Taylor Hall got his 7th. Marchand got his 12th in the loss there. So,
Tuukka Rask, though, got a PTO with the Providence Bruins, so it's probably just to get back into game shape, and then I have to imagine an NHL contract's forthcoming there, because I think Boston's probably going to want to get him back in.
Granted, I believe I saw that Providence had their next 2 games postponed, so that might be coming, I think
he's just there to get in game shape anyway.
Oh, he's not going to play?
Oh, yeah, I mean, he might, but I think mostly he's just getting in game shape.
That makes sense. So that's when the next later on for the Bruins, but for the Sharks and Flyers, finishing up this weird road trip. So we start in Pittsburgh, go to Detroit, go to Buffalo, then go back to the same state you started in. Great schedule making. I don't know how
I don't envy, like I've always said this, I don't envy the schedule makers trying to schedule all those games into buildings that are probably mostly busy. Like how many events does SAP Center have a year?
They're well over at least 150, if not more.
Right, Staples Center.
Oh, and they're even worse because they house 3 pro teams,
and that's just 2 teams.
Yeah.
Like that's just 2 cities, right? The building in Detroit, Little Caesars Arena, I mean, that's probably does a bajillion dates. Mm-hmm. And you just extrapolate that around the league. Like, I don't envy their job, man.
And especially those new ones, I mean, like Little Caesars or hell, the Chase Center in San Francisco. I mean, they're brand new, so everybody's like wanting to go over there.
For sure.
So, and you feel for the schedule maker now, trying to, what are we at? 92 games that are postponed.
It's going to be a mess.
And try to figure that out. Granted, I like what they were trying to do is swap out, I think it was like Islanders and Leafs. Like Leafs were supposed to be at home against the Islanders, and instead they're making that a road game to offset it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Stanley Cup in July.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So well.
Let's just make sure we get it done before July 13th, so I can get to England to celebrate my girlfriend's son's graduation.
The Sharks can be in the playoffs. What are you worried about?
No, we have the draft. What are you talking about? Somebody's got to do the draft.
Can't have the draft with the playoffs still going.
Well, shut up.
I've killed that guy.
You're killing me, man. You're killing me. All right, let's get out of here. In case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and of course, always at tealtownusa.com. Again, I want to apologize for the delay. Unfortunately, the work medical staff who has to tell me whether or not I can go back to work called literally right before we came on the air. Poor Ian now knows all my medical information.
It's true. Yeah,
I mean, it's he's now gonna get worse health care than
I'm good.
than
I'm
can
gonna
in
guess I'm
Canada.
coming down there for worse healthcare and
so
more expensive too.
so Ian, buddy, I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for
Yeah, no
sticking with
worries.
this, of course. But your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
Final thoughts. I mean, again, I think there was some positives from this game. I think there's definitely things that look like they started to trend back in the right direction. I think as more people get healthy back into the lineup, if they can continue to play with their structure that they've been playing with, they will find some success. I think a really good article that really articulates what I've tried to say. Shang put out a really good article out after the last game against Detroit, where he talked a lot about how the Sharks have kind of gotten away from their game and how it bit them. I think it really articulates my thoughts really, really well. So check that out on Shang's. But other than that, man, yeah. See you Saturday when Martin Jones either helps the hair or hurts the hair, and we'll see if Martin Jones gets me closer to divorce or further away. We'll see.
Really? Jed's gonna
Yeah, it's already set. Like she just needs to put the signature to paper.
What if you look beautiful as a bald
I
person?
won't.
No?
No,
Oh, whatever. It'll grow back. It'll go
that's what I
back.
say.
All right. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. As we said, we'll be back with you Saturday following Sharks Flyers. That is a 4 p.m. start locally here in the Bay Area, 7 p.m. if you live near Ian. For all of us here, thank you for watching. The Conversation now continues on the Discord channel. We'll see you over there. And until Saturday afternoon, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you Saturday night.